they're finally getting it, that it's not so much the right's call to view the left as your enemy and not as your neighbor. It's the right, finally, the message getting through to even the centrists that the left actually hates you, and they've been posting it for years, and they've meant it. And these aren't just like fringe people. These were people on my like friends list that I
Yeah,
knew growing
there is.
up in
Yeah,
school and Christian camps that have been saying, "You, Logan, are an evil person because you do not support my ideology." And and I left that, a few years into it, like it's going to get worse. But it's now the centrist people are realizing, like, I think I'm projecting a moral response that the left has not held for a very long time. And like when I had family that saw this, like they told, "Oh my gosh, Charlie died," and they would laugh. My family was like, "This is like monstrous."
yeah,
That it's
yeah.
not just a difference of like textual opinion, but there's like a dispositional, like soul level distinction that's going on. I had some friends being like, texting me like, "I think we have to segregate the left and the right." Like they're realizing like it's actually a difference of the heart, and it's not a difference of just
Uh,
moral or like a
Really,
weird
yeah.
social media share, quick share. It's like, no, these
Yeah.
are like meditated philosophies that have grown into like emotional
It's a
demons. Like it's
deep-seated
horrifying.
mindset. It's a deep-seated
Yes,
mindset that is brought about by ideological subversion over time, where you now have a generation. And again, I think the component here, the Marxist component, is we, and I'm speaking as if I'm on the left. We are the morally pure, right? And this is part of Taylor's quote, and we are part of the solution. We are the solution to the
yes,
world's problems because
yes.
we're morally pure. So there's no sense of like, what remember when Chesterton writes, "Dear sir, what you asked what was wrong with the world, I am." There's no sense of that. Like, you got to be able to say, I'm also part of the problem. Like, the things that I've done wrong, the things that I'm capable of doing wrong, I'm part of the problem. And it's just like there's this whitewashing of the conscience, that the
Yeah,
leftist, that
but
the
notice,
ideology itself
well,
engenders.
and they will say, and I push this against my leftist friend. They goes, "No, no, no, I believe it's a social issue. It's a social issue." I'm like, no, no. The only time you believe it's a social issue that we need to de-escalate is when you guys have gone too far. When you're burning the United States down. When there was the attempt on Trump's life. Anytime there was a clear, like indisputable example of when the left has gone too far, that is when they're interested in saying we are now to blame. But anything outside of that, it's always one sided. And as you said, it's always that view. The left is the solution, the right is the demons and the horrible, and they need to be removed from society.
Yeah, I think we see this actually most explicitly in all the false flag operations that we've seen. So Mattress Girl, right? The declarations against the Duke lacrosse team, and there are many examples of those on the left trying to create a tragedy or an oppressive system or a supposed rape or things like that, which actually, right? Jesse Smollett. I mean, yeah, pick your poison, right? We need to change the system, and so lying and subterfuge is the way we have to do it because we simply can't find a critical mass of actual incidents where this thing occurs. And part of
Yeah.
the problem here is as you're saying, what is baked into the ideology itself. For conservatism, and this is one of the things that I'm writing, the idea is to conserve. The idea is to maintain those aspects and those structures and those
Traditions.
traditions that have served humanity, that we've understood, grown. It doesn't mean that we can serve absolutely everything. We don't think, oh, well, we had slavery for most of humanity, so therefore we should do it, because that's wrong. That slavery, even the founding fathers understood that there was a contradiction in their belief system between slavery and individual rights, and they said, well, sooner or later we're going to have to deal with it. So conservatism doesn't say conserve everything. That's a straw man. But it does say conserve the certain the idea of liberty, not of
The wisdom
anarchy.
of the past.
Right.
The wisdom and knowledge of the past.
So
that is good.
But progressivism, the left specifically, but progressivism writ large says, no, we need to be different than the past, right? I mean, that's the idea of progress. We're going to be better. But progressivism says, how do we get there? Well, we have to tear down the old systems because we have systematic oppression, systematic racism. So the systems themselves need to break down. The structures need to break down. There's patriarchy, so we need to break down the male hegemony. We need to break down the family. Why do you think Gavin Newsom and the California state legislature passed laws so that somebody from Texas could come to California and he could rip that 12-year-old child away from their parents and declare that 12-year-old child a ward of the state? Because he wants to break down the family structure. This is very, very radical.
If you read Marx himself and not Trotsky, the other guy, Engels, they want to destroy the family unit. They want to destroy that. It's explicit in the manifesto.
Go through Che Guevara. Look at Saul Alinsky. All of these things, basically violence, destruction, revolution is the way that you achieve enlightenment. So it is central to the left. And this is why, as you say, I don't believe it can be said that this is a 50-50 problem. This is a problem on the right and the left. Are there individuals on the right, quote unquote, who have fostered violent means to an end? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to deny that there are those who bomb abortion clinics, for example. But those who bomb abortion clinics are normally called out by cooler heads for saying you are creating an abdication from tradition. You are actually violating the core principles that we are standing for. Whereas on the left, if you're doing violence, you're actually reinforcing those ideologies that sit at the root of modern progressivism. I mean, I just can't see it any other way.
But this would be like my response, because I think that like the idea of, they want to break down things, if it's families, if it's certain religious institutions, if it's certain ways of life, I still think that's a little bit too sanitary, even for like the conception of like natural human discourse and livelihood. They think that they're actually vile. It's not just the breaking down. They want to destroy. I think Tony said that they want to destroy these things. They do think that they're evil. It's not just, we need to break down the family. And these are people who would write and say like the family is like a concentration camp. It's not just to say, the family has some sort of rigid, principles and slightly inflexible. They are saying that the family unit is in fact evil, and as a moral justification, or as a moral duty, it needs to be torn down. And that's where I would say that I would say the byproduct of moral conviction that has no resolution in almost every case turns to violence. And so anyone who holds moral conviction and that moral conviction is postponed by evil, it always resorts to violence in some way or another. And so when the left, the left has their moral views, and their moral views have been postponed by what they believe is evil. Their moral views of destroying the family has been postponed by people on the right. And so those have to be destroyed.